in the Chalbi Desert with Capital in the Morning.
Skilo, top of the stairs, bringing us to 20 to the top of the hour on your best mix of music, 98.4 Capital FM with Orange. Discover unlimited internet on your phone, modem or flybooks. Unlimited changes with Orange today. Changes with Orange. Back to the Chalbi Desert where we are joined by Dr. Kidero. And a lot of questions coming in, so we'll try and sample some of them. But as we go back, aspiring governor for Nairobi in the next coming elections, and of course you told us earlier about how you plan to set the ball rolling, so to speak. But question comes in, someone asked, where is your money coming from for campaigning? Because it's not a small thing, it's not a small bit, so it requires a lot of money and finances. So where is that finance coming from?
Rene, I think what we're doing is our campaign is I would say not conventional, because we are talking to people, we are sticking to issues, and the only money we need is money for resources. Mm-hmm. And before I started, a number of people, we sat down, and the decision was based on the fact that the upper and the middle class, that the ABC one, have always shunned politics, yet they are the ones who have resources. We end up having people elected, and true enough to Plato's idiom of 361 BC, where he said that failure to participate in political processes, the price that good men and good women pay is that they end up being led by people who are more stupid than them. And I think that's what it was. So we have a group of friends, and they do chip in, but we don't require huge resources, because it's only facilitation of transport and transport offices. So we're not going the conventional way of huge money.
Wow, fantastic. Coming together with like-minded people, that's very interesting. Now, it wouldn't be fair to go on without asking, of course, you have an amazing track record, you have an amazing managerial record, but as running at the moment for governorship, the people need to believe in you. And there are certain questions coming in asking about the pending cases that you have, alleged, of course, and how do you think they will impact in your campaign process?
But, actually, Mark, I don't have any pending cases. I believe what they're referring to was there's a petition.
Yes.
Mumias paid out some money on behalf of a company that was insolvent, and the security that was given was a piece of land somewhere in Busia, and the money did not come back in the way that was agreed, and the Mumias tried to sell the land. And being the managing director, I was a respondent. I mean, I had absolutely no personal interest. Mm-hmm. And now that I've left Mumias, it is no longer me, because it wasn't Evans Kidero, it was the managing director of Mumias Sugar Company. But let me just add as well that what they are back in court for is the land was bought by the government and given to that company that went insolvent. So I think the farmers are saying that they were never compensated well enough. That's why there's this petition. But there is absolutely no court case. I'm even aware that Parliamentary Committee on Lands and Parliamentary Committee on Agriculture was there last week looking at it. But the conclusion is nothing to do with Evans Kidero, the man. It was the managing director. I was a respondent as a managing director of Mumias Sugar Company. So now I'm out of Mumias.
It won't dent your
no, not
campaign
at all.
hopes.
Not at all.
All right.
I want to get back to the issues that you think are the most salient issues for Nairobi today. So we were speaking earlier, and you said you've got 7 sort of main running points, as it were. Quickly, just let us know what those are.
We have seven. We have seven issues. I think water is life. The first one is providing Nairobians with water, good sanitation, and on top of that, housing, education, health, transport, and infrastructure. Actually, Nairobians spend up to 35% of their income on transport, whereas the world average is 6 to 7%. 64% of Nairobians are worried about security, and even where cases where the security is not good, investors tend to shy away, and covering all of them is governance. You need to have good governance for whatever plans you have to deliver.
Now, of those, which are really the flagship bearer?
First and foremost is provision of water, and provision of water, sanitation, that is, get sewage out of our streets and roads, and rubbish out of our streets and roads. And actually, the first 100 days will get rid of garbage from the streets of Nairobi.
First 100 days.
First 100 days. I know 100 days is sensitive because they call tends to be political. But
yes.
But most books that have been written, they always talk the CEO's first 100 days.
And you will be the CEO of, at least you are running for the CEO of Nairobi.
I will be.
You will be. So first 100 days is deal with the garbage and the sewage.
Deal with the garbage and sewage, and then
take it back to the green city in the sun.
Take it back to green city in the sun instead of brown city and the sewage.
Now, Munene asks, how do you deal with service delivery in Nairobi given the illiteracy rate at the council?
I think, I know because I've dealt with this before. I mean, when I went to Mumias, I had double, 3 times the number of employees that have left, and they were about as illiterate. When you don't need a high level of education to get rid of garbage from the streets of Nairobi. You don't need a high level of education to patch up to patch up potholes. You don't need a very high level of education to make sure that Nairobians observe and obey the law. And you don't need a high level of education to ensure, and that's the first thing we'll do, though you appeal to Nairobians to observe a good old common courtesy. Good morning, thank you, I'm sorry, forgive me, please.
Well, courtesy, especially in traffic, that's like a really big deal, given that this whole week we've been going on about the difficulties actually getting in and coming out.
Getting from point A to point B, actually.
How? Now, part of the allocation for roads is down to the city council, and part of it is government related.
Yeah, actually, I mean, the city council has got an allocation, but the Urban Roads Authority does maintain certain roads in Nairobi. And as I'm aware, because of the bad governance in the last governing body of Nairobi City Council, the Urban Roads Authority refused to give them money because they were given money and they never spent on it. So I believe that the location that we put together with the Urban Roads Authority's location, we should be able to fix some, if not most, of the roads in Nairobi. It's pathetic if you walk in Nairobi, because I mean, I've walked, every week I walk on the average 15 to 17 kilometers on foot in the various estates. They just don't have roads. And even if there was a fire, you can't imagine, a fire engine cannot reach. Not to say that those fire engines don't have water in them. Yeah.
Then, which brings us to the next issue, which is then how do you deal with emergency services and the provision of adequate emergency services for all the parts of a city that is largely very low income and slum?
That's going to be, Rene, that's going to be key, because the way Nairobi was planned, you know, the first plan of Nairobi was done in the year 1927. Then I've looked at the plans. Unfortunately, I mean, the kind of population it's holding was never in that plan. The next plan was revised in 1945. The next plan was in 1963. And the last one was in 1973. So what they've done are revisions probably which have never been implemented. But in the plan of 1973, Nairobi was divided into 4 zones. And those 4 zones had spaces left to provide installations or housing for resources for emergency services like fire engines, but all of them have been sold. We're only left with the one on Tomboya Street. But you had the other day, I mean, they were even trying to sell it as well.
All right.
Yeah.
When we come back, diving more on, of course, the person, Dr. Evans Kidero, and of course, we find out in the case of any questions, 0720 or 0734 you can call us up as well. If you want to just say hello, hi, and wave to the doctor, to the good doctor, as Patrick says, Kidero for governor, period, loved what you did with AFC when you're in Mumias. So we'll jump into that in a few minutes. It is your best mix of music, 98.4 Cabinet FM.